Testing, 1, 2. Testing. Stream is starting. Waiting for stream to say live. You are now live. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Paul, and today I just felt like throwing out some content, and I'm going to do something a little bit different and do a release day news type cast. This isn't your typical booktube video. This is more of like a podcast, webcast type thing, and it's mainly just me talking about books, talking about what's new, and talking about what's going on in the SFF world. And yeah, maybe some people might find this interesting, so this will probably be a longer video. Right now it's live, but more than likely a lot of people will be checking it out on video on demand, or recorded on YouTube. So yeah, this is just something to do. I had some free time today, and I figured I should check some stuff out online, see how people are liking the new books and things of that nature. So what I'm using is Barnes & Noble's blog. The last year or so, Barnes & Noble's science fiction and fantasy blog has really upped their game. They are doing fantastic. They're writing amazing things, and I'm really impressed with the amount of quality things that they're putting out and information, and I use it all the time now, and I really like it. And I'm a big Barnes & Noble person. I think they have better deals than Amazon, so I just like Barnes & Noble, and I like their science fiction and fantasy blog. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the new releases of May, starting with May 3rd, and then moving up to today. So May 3rd was a relatively busy week in SFF. Admiral by Sean Danker came out. Now this is one that I really thought had a lot of promise. I think that the synopsis is fantastic. It's a debut SFF novel about 4 people awakening from cryosleep discover their ship has crashed on an unknown planet, and that someone has done sabotage to the ship. The survivors they don't really know who each other are. Doubts must be put aside as a hostile planet threatens death at every turn, and the mystery deepens as tension rises both between the survivors and among the terrifying antagonists who rise up outside the ship. The whole mess revolves in a brilliantly executed conclusion that readers won't see. I think this sounds fantastic, but what throws me off on this a little bit, gives me a little bit of hesitation, is that this is a debut novel by Sean Danker. And so I think that the synopsis sounds really good. If it's a good writer, I think they can pull it off really well. So I went on Goodreads to see how people thought about it. And right now it looks like it has almost a 4-star rating. And it's they're saying it's the first in a new military science fiction series. Shay from Shay Adventure, she recently read this, and she recently reviewed this. She gave it a 3-star, which for Shay is relatively low. Things that she likes a lot, she usually gives a 4 or a 5. So I'm thinking that this one here, she didn't really connect to it all that much. And a lot of people have it marked to read that I'm friends with, but no one has really read it yet, except for Shay. Mogsy, which is a blogger at Biblio Sanctum, she gave it a 4-star, which is pretty good. And Althea Ann, another person I follow that's a blogger, she gave it a 4-star as well. And they tagged it as like thriller, suspense, mystery. So that sounds pretty good. The reviews are relatively decent. A lot of 4 stars. A lot of people that got it from NetGalley. And a lot of people talking about suspense and the atmosphere. So this definitely seems like something I would like. But I don't have enough reviews to really know for sure if I really would like it. So I'm going to have to wait on that one. But yeah, it definitely is something I need to look out for, because it sounds like something that I would like. Okay, then the next book that was released May 3rd was Star Wars Bloodline by Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray wrote another Star Wars book in the new canon not too long ago, and people liked that one. That was Lost Stars. It was more like of a YA romance type thing. With this one, has more information about Princess Leia and the rebels with Princess Leia. So it says here, burning questions like how did Princess Leia once again find herself in charge of a ragtag fleet of rebels battling galactic tyranny? The answer involves unrest in the New Republic Senate, a vast conspiracy to reassert the strength of the Empire, and a shattering revelation about the past that Leia hoped would remain hidden forever. This sounds really good, just because it's, a prequel to Star Wars The Force Awakens. I think a lot of people really like that movie enough to try these books. And looking at the reviews, about 800 reviews are in, 4.3, which is not bad. My friend Anne, she loves Star Wars books, and she gave it a 5-star. I talked to her recently about it on Instagram, and she really loved it. She thought it was stronger than Lost Stars. So, yeah, seems like it's interesting. It seems like it's pretty good. Mogsy, once again, from Biblio Sanctum, she liked this, and she gave that a 4-star as well. Not many other friends have really tried it. A friend of mine, John, is currently reading it. But, yeah, it seems like it might be better than Lost Stars. I got Lost Stars from the library, but I never did end up reading it because of other books, So yeah, I have to put this on a possible read list because I think this would be better than the Lost Stars and something that I would like more. This isn't a sequel to Lost Stars at all. This is another book altogether. So you don't have to read Lost Stars before you read this one. So, Claudia Gray with another Star Wars book. Let's see. Camp Alien by Jeannie Koch. For Kitty Martini, protagonist of Jeannie Koch's long-running humorous SF series, life is exciting and exhausting. So this is a long-running series, number 13. This is on paperback. Looks like a fun romp type thing. Female protagonist saving the world, kicking butt. Just seems like a kind of a fun thing. Not really something that I would be really interested to. But let me check out the reviews here on Camp Alien. Well, Camp Alien has a 4.49, which is a 4.5 pretty much, which is basically only 100 rating, so it's relatively unknown. None of my friends have read it, and yeah, this is definitely not something I would read, but for people that like things that are fun and not super serious, this might be one to check out. Looking at the synopsis, it looks like it meshes a lot of real world politics with aliens and stuff. Charlene Harris comes out with another book in her Midnight Texas series, Night Shift. I don't really read these. I didn't even read her previous series, but I've heard from Rachel Colonnati that her previous series is a lot of fun. It's not like super serious, but it is fun. I probably won't check that out. Let's see. Outsiders by Jay Posey. This one sounds interesting. Posey begins a new science fiction series and nails the elusive A-Team in space. Oh, Outriders. It helps if I actually said the word right. A-Team in space vibe we didn't know we were missing until just now. After a series of suspicious events push Earth and Mars close to war. Captain Lincoln Suh is tasked with recruiting an elite unit from the top intelligent group known as the Outriders. This is basically a military space, covert military space. Let's check out how people like it. 4.26 right now with only 54 ratings, which is not that many. A few of my friends want to read it, but no one has actually read it, which tells me that not even Mogsy has read it yet. So that tells me that it's not necessarily very high on people's TBR, but it could be a lot of fun. And, you know, a covert military SFF type book might be fun. Tom Clancy in space, yeah, that wouldn't be that bad. Alright, let's see here. Whoops. Alright, The Lost Stars, Shattered Spear by Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is huge in military SFF. People love him. I have never read any of his books, but he is huge. Campbell delivers a 4th installment in his Lost Stars series with an all requisite complications and high stakes we've come to expect. With the Syndicate in shambles, more and more star systems join the new government established by President Gwen and General Arthur. But the rotten legacy of the Syndicate breeds distrust and chaos, and the sudden appearance and disappearance of an Enigma warship means a devastating war might be coming much sooner than anyone feared. Alright, so this is definitely a military SFF. Seems like this is actually selling relatively well right now. People just like this author. And there are a lot more people out there that read military SFF than what people realize. Alright, let's see here. Right now it has a 4.2. Only 151 ratings, though, which isn't very strong. A lot of people that would read this book aren't necessarily the people that would review too often. So, yeah. Military science fiction. Jack Campbell is relatively big in military SFF. A lot of the older readers of military SFF like him. People that grew up with a lot of the older style SFF. Lost Stars, the first book is Tarnished Night. Has about 3,000 reviews. See, Jack Campbell has... My goodness. The guy is a machine when it comes to books. So he has The Lost Fleet, which is a 14-book series. Another thing that has 5 books. His current one, which is 4 books. So yeah, The Pillars of Reality, which is a 6-book series. This guy has written close to 30 books probably, and that is amazing. So this new The Lost Stars is a part of the Lost Fleet universe, which is a 14-book series. So we're talking about people that have read more than likely 11 books, plus then the 3 books in the Lost Stars series, and now this book. These people are invested hardcore in this series, in this author, which is fantastic. The Summer Dragon by Todd Lockwood. This is one of the books that I am very interested in getting. I have tried not to be swayed to pick this up, but I have looked at it quite a few times at the bookstore. I've had it in my hand. I can even order a signed copy online if I wanted to. Todd Lockwood is one of my favorite artists, and now he is doing a debut novel, which is so cool, and I'm actually really excited about this one. I'm not going to pick it up relatively soon, though. I'm going to try to resist the temptation, because I realize that I probably wouldn't get around to it anytime soon. In this, there are illustrations before each chapter, which is so cool. The illustrations are fabulous. They looked really great. So let's check out the synopsis. All right. Renowned illustrator Lockwood debuts his first novel, The Story of Maya, whose family breeds and trains dragons for war. Dragon book sold. Maya is recovering from the loss of her mother and longs for a dragon of her own to bond with, a bond that goes deeper than most could truly understand. Okay, she lost her mom, so she wants a new dragon pet. Her hopes and dreams are pushed sideways when a dragon arrives in her eyrie. Not just any dragon, but one of the rare high dragons, the summer dragon itself, prompting Maya to make a risky decision and take an incredible chance. Lockwood proves to be a master of the art of world building, crafting a universe that feels absolutely real and lived in, and populating it with fascinating, complicated characters. It's a grand fantasy debut that any genre fan will love and dragon lovers will devour. Yes, this sounds awesome. So right now, only has about 80 ratings, but it has a 4.3 rating on Goodreads here. Quite a few of my friends want to read this. Shay from Shay Adventure is reading this currently, and I saw some of her status updates of how much she really is enjoying it, and she's just having a great time. It's very whimsical and very world building focused. A lot of people wanting to read this, which makes me realize that this is probably going to be a fun book to check out. Mogsy, once again, one of my favorite bloggers from Biblio Sanctum, reviewed this, gave it a 4. She really enjoyed this, and she loved the illustrations in the book as well. A lot of people are definitely giving this some great ratings. Plot, fantastic. Very much a classic fantasy, but one that's done well, and one that I really want to get. Okay, Neil Asher, come back with the War Factory Transformation Book 2. This is the second book in his Transformation series. I don't know. I wanted to buy his previous book. Was it Dark Intelligence? Yeah, Dark Intelligence. And I saw someone read it, and they didn't really care for it that much, so I never really looked into it much anymore. I'm just trying to pull it up here. Okay, Asher's second transformation book is just as dark, complicated, and sprawling as the first. Servold Spear pursues the deadly rogue artificial intelligence Penny Royal, but the AI continues to pull strings in the background, transforming the alien predator swirl into a human and apparently working tirelessly to prevent a war between humanity and Praetor. Asher's true triumph is his rendering of an AI as a truly alien intelligence, at once comprehensible and distinctly inhuman. Very AI alien centered. From what I understand, it's kind of like certain movies where the AI are basically robots. I'm thinking of that Tom Cruise movie where he keeps going back in time. I can't think of the name right now. Right now, none of my friends really wants to read it. Some cool guy that I'm friends with flipping people off in a picture. Yeah. Okay, so some people here really enjoyed it, giving it pretty high marks. A lot of them read it on NetGalley. Let's check out the other book, because I know that some people have read Dark Intelligence. That has a 4 rating. And it's from Nightshade Books, which is a decent publisher. See, a friend of mine, Yoshima, gave it a 1, which is pretty low. A lot of people have it marked as to read. Scott, someone that I follow, he could not finish this one. He might revisit it. I didn't really like it that much. It all became a blur to him. Kind of reminded him of an H.R. Geiger painting, which is pretty cool. I like H.R. Geiger stuff. And so, this is very mixed. I think I know someone that started this and then stopped it, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to know more about that series to actually try. Fran Wild, she just won the Nebula, I think, for YA book, maybe, or won something for YA. Yeah, for Updraft. This is a novella set in the Updraft world, which will probably end up doing well for her. This is called the Jewel of Her Depadon. I don't even know how to say that word. It's crazy. Epitome. Probably Epitome. Fran Wild. This novella from the author of Updraft is set in an imaginative fantasy world in which, I'm sorry, this is not set in the Updraft world. Imagine a fantasy world in which the fate of the humanity lies with the gems, powerful bits of magically imbued rock that grant incredible strength to those who know how to wield them safely. I like fantasy books that have gems that allow you to do magic, which is cool. The Valley of Jewels has long been protected by its jewels and Depadonaries, who use the gems to alter the landscape and control minds. But someone has betrayed the jeweled court, and as its last princess, Saima will need to summon all the courage and power she possesses if she hopes to survive. Novella, there's a lot in here. It's only about 100 pages, which is pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of the Demon Wars books that I'm currently reading, where they have gems that have magical abilities. On Goodreads, we have a 3.8 with only 56 ratings, 20 reviews. A friend of mine, Tammy Sparks, which is an amazing reviewer that I follow, she only gave it a 3, and she gives pretty good ratings out for the most part. Original world building idea that didn't get off the ground for her. She thought maybe a novel would work better. DJ, another person that I follow that writes on the Speculative Herald with a bunch of other people I follow, gave it a 3 as well. This book is marketed as epic fantasy in miniature, and they agree with that. The world building doesn't really pay off. Kalinati, Rachel, gave it a 3. Not one of her favorites, but not one of the worst. 2 teenage girls survive a massacre and a usurper. She says that Lepidari must always obey their jewel or their mind will shatter, which made her uncomfortable reading, which I can see. And a lot of time was spent repeating the rules. So she didn't really care for that one. I probably won't check this out because I respect Rachel's reviews, and as a Torrent.com novella, she gave it only a 3, and it's not good enough for me to read. Alright, let's see here. What else we got here? Shadow's Blade by David B. Coe. 3rd volume of the Case Files of Justice Fursum, a contemporary fantasy series with a magic wielding private eye battling dark magic in modern day Phoenix. Okay, so this guy, David B. Coe, is basically trying to write another series like the Dresden Files, and I haven't even read the Dresden Files yet, so I probably won't read this. But wow, does this guy write a lot of books. Good night. David B. Coe. He must have been around for a while now. Let's see. This is the Case Files of Juris something or another. Yeah, he has a lot of different series. And it looks like they all kind of connect a little bit. Nothing above a 4.0, really. Yeah, I'm not interested in that one, so I'm not going to check that one out. Regeneration by Stephanie Sulcher. In the final novel of Sulcher's acclaimed Revolution series, The Gullings, a new race of genetically modified humans, have colonized the shores abandoned by the rest of humanity due to rising sea levels. Their technology is in high demand, but also controversial due to its unknown impact on the environment, not to mention the norm businesses that would be affected. In the wake of industrial incident at a Gulling colony, Detective Sharon Versailles must determine whether it was an accident or sabotage. Stephanie Salter. Regeneration. Okay. Final novel in a series. Not many people has read it or reviewed it. 21 ratings. Almost has a 4.5 though. People I follow, Moxie has it to read, and Sarah has it to read. Sarah is another person I follow. She is from... Oh yeah, Bookworm Blues. She is an excellent reviewer. This guy here, Bibliotropic, gave it a 5. He really enjoyed the series. Jessica Strider, another person that I see all the time. She gave it a 5. I'm going to go ahead and follow her because this is the third time I've seen her. Just doing this alone. Okay. She has read a ton of books. Holy crap. Alright, yeah, this is a lot of people are giving it some good ratings. Revolution, I don't like that R-E thing. How'd the first one do? Now that the revolution, why is this R like it's circle? No. Okay, I'm done with that. Okay, so that's what was released back in May 3rd. Let's move on to May 10th. This is the ridiculous, awesome release day of this month, where I found myself at the bookstore wanting to get these, but I didn't. I was strong in a way, but I add them all to my library wish list. So, whoops. Here we go. Children of Earth and Sky. A lot of people have been reading this. A lot of people love Guy Garo. I have read Tagana only. I do want to read his other books before I read this book, though. I've heard from Katie on BookTube that there are some instances that he talks about things that happened in the Solitane Mosaic. I don't know that first word very well. And so there's 2 books there that I wouldn't mind reading before I read this book, but I really want to read this a lot. You probably have seen a lot of people talk about this, so I'm not going to go through the synopsis, but it's related to like Phoenician, Roman history in a way, and but it's fantastical, and it just seems like a very interesting book. Yeah, so it's set near Europe of his 2 Sarentian books. So I want to read those before I read this, because I want to get the little small things that he throws in there so that I can understand. So some people have already reviewed this. Like I said, Katie did. Can't really think of her channel at the moment, but she loved it. She gave it a 4. This is she's read quite a few of GGK's books. Caitlin, one of the most amazing people reviewing on BookTube, she read it. She gave it a 4 as well, and she's relatively strict on her ratings anymore, which is fantastic. And she was really excited about it because, you know, she only read Tagana like me, and she really enjoyed it. She liked the characters quite a bit, and she made an excellent post about it. her last thing she says on her review is, on the whole, this is certainly a book of an author I would recommend checking out, particularly if you want to try something which has an authentic feel but does not involve hints at magic every now and then. This certainly feels very historically focused, but it's also very much a fantasy book. 4 stars for her. So there's not much magic in this book. I believe the magic is being able to talk with people that have passed away. Another person that I know, Emily Bella Grace, she gave it a 3-star. She didn't really love this one. However, she got it from NetGalley as a review copy. She thought it just started out really slow for her. Another friend of mine, oh, I should be showing this. Another friend, Alok, gave it a 5. He usually rates pretty well. Rachel Kalinati is currently reading this. She says here, so far many characters have been introduced and everyone's a spy. You get a spy, you get a spy, everyone gets a spy. So this one has a lot of characters, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people want to read this book. Yeah. Mogsy gave it a 3.5. She was pretty happy about this coming out. Let's see why she only gave it 3.5 in the end. She believes that GGK is an author that is incapable of writing a bad book, but at times some are better than others. She did not dislike Children of Earth and Sky, but also don't think that it was his best book. It was a very rough start, but she ended up enjoying it. Yeah, so from everything I've read about this book, everything I've seen about this book, it is a tough book to get into at the beginning. A little bit slow at the beginning, but pays off in the end. So, but yeah, sounds great. And then To Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is a very interesting SFF book. It's more of an intellectual SFF book. It's not like typical epic sci-fi or epic fantasy or anything like that. It's more theme based and very ambitious by Ada Palmer. A few friends have read this and made reviews already, and I recommend you guys check those out. Rachel for Kalinati, Bree from Stories from the Shelf, I believe. She reviewed it and she loved it. Both of them gave it a 4. I read some things that they've talked about it, and it seems like a difficult book, but something that really pays off. Okay, so Palmer's long incoming debut crafts a distinctly unique vision of a future world, a 25th century where technology has created abundance, where religion is outlawed, but personal spirituality is encouraged, where criminals are sentenced to wander the world, making themselves useful. It's an imagined outcome rooted in threads visible all around us even today. The story involves an unlikely meeting between a convict serving a family named Mycroft Canner, a sensei or spiritual guide named Carlisle Foster, and Bridger, a young boy who seems to possess the power to make his every wish come true, a power that could destabilize the world and the very definition of stability. Lush prose that creates the feel of a period novel. This is one of the year's most striking debuts to date. To Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. I think that this is going to be the book next year at all the awards. I think that this one is going to be something that's special. I want to get this very much so. I'm a little bit intimidated by it because it is definitely a difficult book. When it says lush prose, it's very antiquated reading a little bit. But yeah, this is a very complex book. Rachel says, for people that love philosophy, historical fiction, particularly ancient Greece, Rome, and the Enlightenment, political intrigue, and science fiction, will all find something to enjoy in this novel. She wants more. There's a lot of stuff in this. And I believe there's a lot of things about gender in here, where gender is very fluid. A lot of anti-religion type stuff is in this as well. So if that's kind of your thing. So yeah, another person that I love reading her reviews. I should show this. I need to stop doing that. Miriam P gave it a 5, which is fantastic. Miriam reviews over at the Curious SFF Reader. She loved this book, and she says that it's just a fantastic, very thought-provoking, and just a great book. For me, she says this book is a blend of Hyperion, the Trader Brew Cormorant, and Europe in Autumn, which is saying something, since those 3 books are 3 of my favorite books of all time. She loved it. Very complex. A lot of people want to read this, and people love it for the most part. Brilliantly, very intricate book. I definitely have to get this. This is one that I'll probably get relatively soonish, because I think it'll be on the top of the list next year. I'm gonna skip the Tim Levin book. It's a novella. The Vagrant by Peter Newman. The Vagrant has come over from Europe, and yeah. Newman's wildly original debut is set in a world broken and warped by invasion of aliens, demons, question mark. It's very breach in reality. Basically, there's this guy, he's all by himself. He finds an infant child, and he must take the infant child to one of the last human civilizations. This guy is like a really awesome dude that kind of lives out by himself, but because of the baby, he has to go to civilization for a change, and it's a very wasteland type book. I remember, what's his name? Let's see if I can find his review. James. Excuse me, James Eagle. He read this. He only gave it a 3. He found some issues with it at the end. Catherine from Android's Conundra DNF'd this book. She gave it a 1. She did not like it at all. This has only a 3.6 rating, and about 1,100 or 1,200 ratings. Getty Matthew really liked it, but this is very mixed with how people like this. A lot of people want to read it though, but not many people are reading it. Mark Lawrence really loved this book. One of the best things that he's read in a while. Very original. I think this is more of a I don't want to say like dude fantasy book, but I mean that's what I'm going to go with. I'm looking on here. A lot of the people that liked it the most were men, and the people that didn't like it that much were women for the most part. So that makes me think that there's not a lot of character development in it, and it's more about it being dark and grimdark a little bit. Yeah, well, I take that back. There's quite a few women that like it. But yeah, debut novel. I want to check it out, but there's something about it that makes me think that I'll be disappointed. So yeah. Okay, The Wolf in the Attic by Paul Kearney that came out last week. This is a story about real life story, well, kind of a real life stories where I'll just read it. A Greek refugee makes his what? That doesn't make sense. A Greek refugee makes he was to Oxford. G.G. Barnes Noble. The 1920s, in an imaginative fantasy tale that twists and knots itself into the real-life stories of two speculative fiction's greatest legends, C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien. Anna Francis left war-torn Greece for England in the wake of the Great War and has come to reside in a strange house in Oxford with her father and very much without her mother and brother. She isolates herself there, creating a fantasy world in miniature and having adventures with her doll Penelope until one day she meets a strange boy, Anakin, a boy with yellow eyes who needs a friend as much as she does. Carney has written a wonderfully evocative period tale full of mystery and myth, made only richer by the presence of a towering real-life figures who exist on the fringes of the story. I think this sounds good, but this is basically a werewolf story. I've been wanting to read a Paul Kearney book for a while. Haven't gotten around to it. Right now it's a 3.85. DJ from Speculative Herald and My Books give it a 3. A friend of mine, Alea, gave it a 5. Crystal gave it a 3. So, very mixed reaction to this. This was released in the UK before it was released in the US. I think this one might work out for some people, but I don't know. I'm getting like, I don't know, Station 11 vibes maybe. Like, it's not strictly SFF. It's more, I'm thinking it's more like magical realism in a way. I don't know. It might be worth checking out though. Central Station by Levi Tidhar. This is a series of short stories that are all connected, and this is getting some hype. She is from Israel, so this is a very much one of those books that you read if you want to read about someone from someone else, different worldview. And it just seems very interesting. This strange take on space opera is a classic fix-up, strung together with a double handful of previously published short stories exploring the lives of the inhabitants of a slum situated below Central Station, the hub of humanity's future and a gateway to contact with the others. Alien force as changing humanity. It is in near Tel Aviv and Jaffa, and it sounds cool. Robotic priests, cyborg couriers. Rachel Kalinati gave this a 5. She loved it. She really likes short stories too, and how they're all connected, and she really loved that part of it, and she felt it harkened back to the golden age of sci-fi. There's definitely a retro vibe, she says, which is pretty cool. I want to get this. I think this would be really good. Tammy gave it a 4.5. She really liked it. Joe, give it a 5. All right, Joe. So this is something that I definitely want to check out. I bet that Joe and Rachel will talk about this in their next short fiction video. So yeah. All right, moving on. Frank Herbert, unpublished stories. Not really interested in it. Okay, let's move on. This week we have some books that came out. Roses and Rot by Kate Howard. Roses and Rot. Howard's eerily beautiful debut introduces a number of things: a mysterious, secluded setting, a compelling modern fantasy world, and a sibling rivalry that threatens to unravel the whole thing. At its heart are Imogen and Marian, sisters who have translated their troubled childhoods into flourishing careers in the arts. A writer and dancer. That is cool. So they're pursuing their craft, entangled in high-stakes competition, intricately tied to the school's history. When one success can ensure the other's failure, the question becomes how badly does each want to win. That actually sounds really good. Roses and Rot. Definitely getting some possible All the Birds in the Sky type feels from this, maybe. Maybe some magical realism. Let's check this out. Roses and Rot. This is kind of young adultish, so almost a 4, 69 reviews. We have someone giving it a 4, which is not bad. A lot of people want to check it out. Seems very interesting. I like the idea that they're at a school and they're doing art, dancing. I think that's really cool, and I think it's cool that they're pitted against each other, even though they're siblings. I think that's very cool. What would you sacrifice in the name of success? How much does an artist need to give up to create great art? That sounds cool. Moxie from Biblio Sainte, give it a 4. So this is definitely like a contemporary YA fairy tale type of fantasy book. Maybe like probably a feel good type thing in a way. I'm kind of interested in reading this, so I'm gonna put this on the to read maybe list. All right, let's see what else we got here. Company Town by Madeline Ashby. This is one of those books that a lot of people wanted to read when it was first announced. Madeline Ashby's eagerly awaited follow-up to the Machine Dynasty series is another examination of the melding of human and machine. Hawa is the last unaugmented woman in New Arcadia and a bodyguard for the United Sex Workers of Canada. Hired away to serve as a muscle for a corporate bigwig, Joel Lynch, teenage heir to the corporation that controls New Arcadia, Hawa finds herself in a race to protect her charge and save herself from a killer as this inventive blend of future tech, blistering social commentary, and classic noir tropes. See, I'm not interested in this book for some reason. I don't know. There's some series of interconnected murders in this book as well. Let's see. We have Catherine from Android's Conundrum giving it a 3-star. She actually read this back in April 6th. Near future science fiction thriller. Science fiction thrillers are either done well or not. And it's hard for them to fall in the middle at times. So she gave it a 3. Overall, it was one that I enjoyed due to compelling characters and interesting setting and ideas. She thought the plot was entertaining, but probably the weakest part of the book. She thought it was choppy at places. I probably am not interested in this anymore because of the plot not being that great. Rachel from Kalnati gave it a 2. She wasn't impressed with it. Not really her type of story. There's problems with pacing and transitions and knitting the stories together. So pretty much what Catherine said. She said it started out enjoyable, if not amazing, and really became immersed in the middle section, but by the end I felt vaguely disappointed. So I'm not really interested in this. I'll wait until a few other people read this. Mogsy give it a 4 stars. I know that Nicole from Nicole's Adventures in SFF really wanted to read this, so maybe I'll wait until she reads this to know if it's good. But for right now, I am removing this from my to read maybe because I'm not interested at all. Alright, let's see. This Summon Stone by Ian Irvin. In this new adventure in the world of Irvin's bestseller selling 3-world cycle, a sinister magic stone has been awakened by hordes of merciless warriors who gather in the empty spaces beyond worlds. Its corrupting power turns good people into monsters and beautiful landscapes into charred wastelands. If left unchecked, it will tear down the walls separating realities and allow the evil to infect everything. It's up to 2 heroes to stop the spread of madness and save their daughter, a 9-year-old with an impossible gift. That sounds kind of cool. Let's see how people are liking it. Well, looks like he has written quite a few books. Summon Stone. I don't know, for some reason when I see a lot of these books, an author that writes a ton of books, like this guy here, it could be because of two, I mean, Don't get me wrong, there are great authors that write a lot of books. C.J. Cherry has wrote a ton of books. But when I have never heard of the person, Ian Irvine, and they have written a ton of books, that gives me pause. One rating, sort of a brand new epic fantasy series from fan favorite meaning probably gets a lot of self-publishing books. So, I'm not really interested in this one. I mean, a few people have marked it as read. Just not many people have read this at all. There's no interest at all for it at the moment. I don't know. The Summon Stone knows how to protect itself, and soon Karen Lillian is on the run. Karen is hunted relentlessly by a former friend. Lillian, framed for murder, is forced to betray an old ally's darkest secret, one that could give the Meridian exactly what they want. I mean, the tagline's not that bad. I mean, it is by Orbit. It's a 600-page book. Orbit, let's see, did he do his other things? Australian author of 32 books. His most popular book is A Shadow on the Glass, The View from the Mirror #1, about 2,500 ratings at 3.7, which was written back in 1998. So he's pretty popular in Australia. Well, I've heard of him now. Ian Irvine. I will look out for him more in the future, but I don't think I'm interested in the Summoning Stone. But you never know. Maybe someone will like it. Runtime by S.P. Divya. Cyborgs. Need we say more? Yes, you do. Okay, cyborgs competing against each other in the Minerva Syria Challenge, aka the Cyborgs Tour de France, with corporate sponsors like NASCAR races. Oh, wow. Alright, so robots racing. Not interested in that whatsoever. The Tower of Swallows by Andrzej Sapkowski. Okay, more The Witcher things. I like the video games. I don't think I would like the books. I don't really want to try them either. I don't know why. Maybe one of these days I will, but this is another Witcher book. People are liking it though. It's been selling a lot. Most detailed and best explored in modern fantasy. Offers endless opportunities for fresh ideas. His latest sees the world sinking into open world as the Sire, notorious child, prophesied disguises herself and goes missing. Pretty cool. I don't know if I'm just I have a hard time with these ones because I've heard that they're mostly connected short stories in a way. So this is the 6th book in the series. 4.35. So this is like a new release. This is from 1997. I don't know. One of these days I'll try the Witcher books. I think they're gonna remind me a lot of the Moorcock books, the Elric books. I think they are so similar to the Elric books that I'm really not interested in them. The Last Wish is, of course, the first book. I think the guy hit a home run being tied to the video games. Okay, and then we have the 10th installment of an anthology, The Best Science Fiction and Fantasy of the Year, Volume 10. Stories from Gaiman, Stephen King, Cory Doctorow, Stephen Baxter, Elizabeth Barrett, Cromie. Yeah. I don't think I'll... I'm not a big anthology person. I have anthologies. I need to read those anthologies. I never do. Alright, so it's almost an hour of doing this. Let's go ahead and check out what is selling the most at the moment. So the things that are selling the most at the moment are Bloodline, the Star Wars books. These are new release books being sold, the most sold from SFF. Bloodline's doing well. Night Shift, the Sherwin Harris book, is doing extremely well. It's no surprise. The paperback version of Uprooted, the newest Nebula winner, is doing really well. That Tower of Swallows, people are checking that out because, you know, The Witcher. The new Mercy Thompson book from Patricia Briggs is doing well. Sleeping Giants. Sleeping Giants is actually selling relatively well. I have yet to read a review of someone liking it. Like, liking it a lot. But it's selling a ton. The Lost Stars, that Jack Campbell book, which was the fourth in the series, that is selling relatively well. That amazes me. Like, of all these books, you know, it is 1, 2, 5. So the 8th best-selling book on Barnes & Noble. It is a 4th book in a series, connected loosely from a series that has 11 books in it and 4 other books. Jack Campbell, you have the most dedicated readers ever. A Dean Koontz novel on ebook. Okay. Another urban fantasy book. It's like The Silent Army, 7 Forges. This came out on paperback. Let's check what this is about. James A. Moore. This is book 4. I'm going to have to look this up. Silent Army by James A. Moore. I like this cover. This cover is tight. Check that out. Total War. Alright, James A. Moore. The City of Wonders has been saved by nearly miraculous forces, and the Silent Army is risen. Check out that formatting. Ready to defend the Felian Empire and Empress Chaya at any cost. The power that was hidden in the mountains is on the move, seeking a final confrontation. This is definitely like an epic fantasy that I would probably like. So a lot of people like. Let's check out the first book. What's the first book? James A. Moore. 7 Forges. Oh, I've seen this at the store. 7 Forges. It's got this cool guy. Oh, I thought that was a trombone at first. 3.7. Monica from Avid Fantasy Reviews gave it a 3. Caleb gave it a 2. Coveney gave it a 5. I don't even know who that is. Heather Healy gave it a 3. A lot of people want to read it. Moxie gave it a 4. Luke Taylor gave it a 5. You know what? I'm going to put this on my maybe and look into this one more. Alright, James A. Moore. Alright, Mercedes Lackey, new book. A Nook book, Fortune's Fool. Last Immortal Bond is doing well by Brian Stavely, which is pretty cool. Nemesis Game. Barnes & Noble's doing a 3 for $30 deal right now. Nemesis Games and The Vagrant are all part of that. So the paperback's doing well. Paperback and The Vagrant's doing well. Company Town is doing well. The newest Dritz book by R.A. Salvatore has been doing well. Amazes me. R.A. Salvatore has the most loyal fans. And it's fantastic. I love it. Of course, the V. Schwab book is doing well. Yeah, it's pretty great. Children of Earth and Sky is doing well. If something comes up on the first 3 pages of the best-selling books, I think they're doing well, in my opinion. I look at Barnes & Noble because I hate Amazon. Let's see. Oh, the new David Abraham book is doing well. It just was released on paperback. That's the Dagger and Coin series. Yep. That is part of the 3 for $30 as well. Just came out in paperback too. Oh, that Richard Cadre book's doing well. The Everything box. I think this sounds interesting. It's like an offbeat humor type thing. He's the guy that wrote Sandman Slim. Dark and humorous, involves like urban fantasy and a bunch of demons and stuff. It's getting some hype, getting some people talking about it. Fall of Light's down there. Fell Sad. Alright. Nice to see Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire doing so well. Alright, that's an hour. That's my first little fantasy new release news type thing. Maybe I'll do this once a week for fun. Next week I'll get into more news. This week I just want to kind of catch up on new releases. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good weekend. If you watch this, thank you for watching. Yeah, if not, I learned a ton about these books. So hope you guys have a great week.